Hey, welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Ozzy.
And I'm Zack.
Together, we've built multiple businesses, including Advirtis, where we've helped over 300 marketing agencies scale smarter, grow faster, and escape the chaos that most agency owners get stuck in. On this podcast, you can expect that we break down real conversations of what agency owners are actually talking about. These conversations include sales, operations, hiring, scaling, leadership, the wins, the failures, all of it. And today, after we've filled our bellies full of turkey and ham and roast, and I made so much food over this past week, man, we're going to talk about the significant final, everybody already knew this was coming, leak that happened, posted on Reddit while everyone's eating turkey, that ChatGPT is confirmed running ads.
Man, but are we surprised though? Are we surprised? It's funny. Sam Altman, he has gone on record several times saying specifically to interviewers, I never want this platform to run ads. That's not what this is for. I think everyone kind of hates ads and advertising, and I want this AI to be so useful that people just go to it and they get the use out of it and ads aren't necessary.
Hey, wait, didn't Sam Altman also say like he made 70 grand a year salary and it was a nonprofit? At first saying he wants to make a profit. And he's like, I don't need the money. But then he's out caught driving a Bugatti.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how much you can write off on your business? It's so weird.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Huh? I don't understand.
Yeah, so weird. And now it's here. The official leak is that in the backend code of ChatGPT and the LLM as a whole, there are open ad network nodes. And also ChatGPT is officially hiring ad network technicians, engineers to join their teams. Like, why would they need to do that? And they also launched Atlas, which is ChatGPT's browser, right? You have Google Chrome's browser, ChatGPT's browser. So, and we also know that ChatGPT is one of the first privately held companies to have $1 trillion evaluation. Massive, not billion, trillion. And yet they have such a huge market share, and yet they're not profitable. And out of all their users, I think it was like only 10 or 20%, don't quote me on those users, are actually paying for any ChatGPT subscription. So there is a ton of unrealized, unleveraged attention on ChatGPT. And I think they're going to use ads to get paid.
No way. Like Google did, huh?
Just like Google did.
Well, it's funny because like, as you mentioned, you know, they were not profitable. And by the way, I think it was a little over $500 billion was their valuation, but that's still the largest in history for privately owned.
Gee.
And to be honest with you, of course, they're not profitable because you said it's like a little over 20% of its users are actually paying the subscription. I'm one of them. You're one of them. You know, most people in marketing are one of them. And like, I think for multiple reasons, and we can get into that, but to your point, just like what Google did, they said everybody uses this thing, but nobody actually pays for it. So how are we going to make money off of it? Oh, it's the simplest thing. Oh, let's just advertise on this thing.
Yep.
So I think two really big questions really pop out. It's like, what is that going to do for the future of LLM, right? Like these large language models, what does that entail for the future? Two, when they're pivoting to these types of things, is it solely based to make money? Or are they really trying to transform the market? Because I will tell you this, the Supreme Court, when they were doing their thing with Google, we all knew about that. Google was like, oh, we're on the hot plate because, you know, we're considered a quote unquote monopoly because of, was it search ads? Or no, it wasn't search, it was display. It was display, right? And so anyways, they said, nah, you guys don't have to change anything this year when they finally did their ruling. You don't have to change anything. ChatGPT is coming for you.
Yep. They see the writing on the wall. And isn't that crazy? The Supreme Court is no longer pursuing that case because they see a bunch of competitors coming up and potentially taking over search, you know?
Specifically OpenAI. That was literally what was mentioned in that hearing. And these are like, guys, listen, this is like some of the most senior economists in all the US and all the world, really, that are sitting there and they're like, yeah, Google don't need to do anything. OpenAI is coming for them. Yep. It's just a waiting game. And you guys are seeing this like right now with them introducing this back end code to introduce search ads and things like that.
Well, and probably what's even more crazy is that I really thought with the advent of AI, and I know right now it's just large language models. It's not really agentic AI. It's not really thinking AI. as much as they like to market it that it is. I really thought that they would come up with a different business model to make their money, right? But at the end of the day, and I even think Sam Altman was on record telling his investors in a board meeting, there's a clip of him saying, I don't quite know how we'll make money yet, but I know that it will be able to tell me that the large language model, that ChatGPT will be able to tell him how to make money. And yet ads is the way to go, which everyone kind of was running around, especially marketers, right, in this industry, and advertisers and paid media running around like chickens with their head cut off thinking, is Google Ads dead? Is advertising dead when you just get the answer you want straight from AI? Well, no, it's not dead because ChatGPT is even using it. Like, they can't think of something else.
I will say, like, obviously we do a lot of, all of our services are mostly around advertising, majority of them. And, working with over 300 agencies, you start to see little trends and things. We talked about that on other shows, but it's like, even with ChatGPT, I would actually argue it's one of the most interactive platforms for search. And like, for example, they just did this partnership with Walmart recently, where if you're talking to I call mine Chloe. If you're talking to Chloe, and I use the voice function mostly because I'm usually driving or whatever, whatever the case. It's interesting because I can be talking about, look, Chloe, I want to buy some new pickleball shoes. I need to know what the best are because I'm bougie like that. I need to have all the best. And like, I like this color or that color. Can you send me the top 3 shoes? Give me the links. And now she can literally send it to me. I'm saying it can literally send it to me directly from the link that I can purchase right away. And it's funny. It's like, there's no other ads that you can run on other platforms. I mean, I guess you can, but not as interactive as just talking to it. And, Meta AI is trying to do that. Google's trying to do that with the AI overview, but it's still not the same as chat. So I think it will have it'll be competitive for sure to the Googles of the world. But I do think that this is the easiest path of resistance. You don't need to fix what's not broken. And if Sam Altman has a board that he has to answer to as a CEO, and he's like, I got to make us some money somehow to become more profitable, then absolutely, I'm going to run ads too. I don't really blame him.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you're not wrong. ChatGPT is the most interactive because let's say you take that same search of, I need to buy X sports shoes, right? You take that search to Google, what's going to happen is you're going to find a list of websites, you're going to click on one of them for pickleball shoes, right? And even if you do the Google shopping, right, you're still going to click on that listing and then have to still go into that website, right? Then you're going to have to find your size, and then you're going to like doing some reviews and some research. But if it's in ChatGPT, they just pop up the shoe. They already have memory of your size. They already have memory of your gender. They already have memory of your favorite colors, right? Of what you've purchased in the past. And something that us as marketers sometimes forget, and this is very true when it comes to like landing pages and whatnot, and squeeze pages, the less information you put in front of a user, the higher the likelihood that user is going to do the action in which you want them to perform, right?
Preach.
So if you just have a little chat box that just says, I want pickleball shoes, and they say, great, according to your interests, Ozzy, here's some in your size with your favorite color. Which option do you want? And they give you 3 options, and you're looking at the price, and you can pay right in there because ChatGPT also did a partnership with PayPal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then you can just have your payment processing right in there. It's like, yeah, I like those. Would you like me to buy them? Yes, please. And it already has your address saved and everything saved.
Boom, convenience. And again, attention is currency, guys. That's every marketer's like dream. We all know this. It's not new. It's been around. Thank you, TikTok. But to Zach's point, if your chat already knows who you are because you use it every day, most people are using it pretty consistently now, then it makes it so much easier for the buyer's journey. Everybody that's listening, that's in sales, you know exactly what we're talking about. Buyer's journey, you make it as easy as possible. The least amount of clicks, the better. And to Zach's point, that is convenience. And people's attention span is less than 7 seconds now. I know they say 7 seconds, but it's definitely less than 7 seconds. So chat has gotten that down. And with Google, it's very traditional, right? To Zach's point, what happens is with Google, now they have to go through all these websites or click through and go through a funnel and finally get to where they're at. And then you find out it's out of their size or whatever. Okay. Yeah. And so essentially with ChatGPT making these movements, they're really I think this is going to be the next level with search ads that Google is going to have to rise to, right? And with AI overview, it's good, but it's not nearly as interactive and convenient to the buyer's journey. So I'll be
Correct.
curious to see what happens with Google too. And I
Yeah.
also wonder, I'm curious, we haven't seen this yet, by the way, but I'm curious to know if we're going to get some good price, clicks with Google now since they're going to be competing against chat, which could be
Boy,
nice.
I hope so. I'm so frustrated that Google continues to up their clicks, especially for their most profitable niches and, highest bid keywords. And they think, oh, well, hey, we have AI Max. Isn't that what people want? Oh, hey, we made optimizations perform. Hey, we're making this all easier. It's like, no, if you want to compete, you're going to have to be cheaper. That's half the reason why there was even a question that they're a monopoly in the first place, is because they could up the rates to whatever they wanted to do and wherever, how much they want to be per click. And again, kind of rewinding back to your point about ChatGPT and the buyer's journey, you're absolutely right. The buyer's journey is unfortunately disjointed on Google's platform. All Google is doing is just a messenger. You ask it a question and it points to some options, right? But you always finish your journey on a website. You always finish your journey on something that Google doesn't own, can't control. Because of that, Google now is trying to kind of fit it into its current model, but its current model is still just a filing drawer system, right? But ChatGPT is like an assistant, is like a personal friend, a family member who knows you and says, hey, you were talking about XYZ the other day. Here are some options. I know you really well. Which one do you pick? It's like, I'll pick that one. And you just move on with your life. So the options are going to be really limited. I think that there will be a couple, right, in the first rollout. But right now, if you look on Google and you type in, pickleball shoes, you're going to get Google Shopping ad results. You're going to get sponsored regular search ad results. You possibly get display ad results. I mean, if you're like a store, like a retail store, like Dick's Sporting Goods or REI or something like that, like you might get Google My Business ad results, like nothing but ad results. And then on top of organic searches. But if you're just in ChatGPT, you might just get 3 options. That's it.
Yep. And you know what? Breaking it down like that, I tell everybody this all the time about paradox of choice. Makes it so much easier. When you're at the store and you're trying to buy a loaf of bread and there's 100 different brands in front of you and you're like, you're just fatigued. One other thing that's really worth mentioning here, talking about large language models doing search ads, is the fact of the data. The data is going to be insane. So all of you listening that are terrified of things following you around, you live in 2025, going into 2026 now, you better get used to it because it doesn't matter where you're at, you're being followed. And it's because of your cell phone. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not trying to scare you, but when you're on ChatGPT and you're spilling your guts about, something you did that you need help with in your email, all that stuff's going to be tracked. If you have any discernment of something you need to fix with a relationship, that's going to be tracked too. Everything that you run through your ChatGPT, whether you're searching for the coolest underwear, it's going to be tracked. And the data that's going to come behind that and the retargeting ads it's going to get to do omni-channel
Uh,
presence with it,
it's going to be too good.
it's going to
It's going to be
increase
way
so
too good.
much. It's going
Way
to
too, right
give so much good data.
now, how, like, because Google does, especially if you use, like Google Chrome profile or Gmail, Google does, has a profile on you. I encourage anybody listening, to go look up what Google has on you. Like, it'll have tags, it'll have probably your birthday, your gender, it'll probably have your interests, your likes, your age, probably things like status, like wealth or income range. But it's still not great because it only identifies certain points about you as a human being based on the websites you visit or based on the exact search terms you type in. And the way that most people type in Google is like pickleball shoes. I need pickleball shoes, and that's all so it's like, all right, this person's active, and then they click on Dick's Sporting Goods, like, again, confirm this person's active. But with ChatGPT, you're not just saying I need pickleball shoes, right? It knows and it remembers that Ozzy loves to hike, right? Has hiked mountains before, loves to ride bikes, and loves to go cycling, right? And
Or Ozzy
cycled,
can't handle high altitudes.
or Ozzy can't handle high altitudes if you're in Denver and we're climbing a 14er, Mount Beardstad. And I had to,
Ozzy
carry him
likes to
down all by
color
myself.
red, or yeah, it's very, very specific, very specific.
Very specific. And ChatGPT will be able to have some really amazing retargeting ads, even based on interest and how the person reacts, because it's a chat, right? Like you're chatting back and forth with this thing. It's not just Google where it's like you say a phrase, it gets a result, you're done, right? Maybe you say another phrase again. ChatGPT is a conversation.
I think that this is going to push all platforms, not just large language models like OpenAI. I think this, because of this happening, it's going to push all platforms to have every ad that you're going to get served up as an individual is going to be very, very specific to you. And I think this is where AI is, or OpenAI is going to dominate, because they're going to have access to more data than any other platform. And then when you're a marketer running omni-channel campaigns for your advertising, those ads can be very custom to that end user.
Yep. I already see this happening organically, by the
Yeah,
way, especially
agreed.
organically on social media and TikTok, right? It used to be, especially on Instagram, it used to be you like an influencer, you follow their profile, right? Or you like some of their content, and you can get served more of their content because you follow them. Makes sense. Pretty straightforward. Now, especially on TikTok, and I'm seeing this also a bit on YouTube as well. I think the organic social platforms are going this way. Like I love watching like Gary Vee stuff, right? And he's been in the game for a long time, right? Obviously very influential when it comes to marketing. And I will look at Gary Vee stuff and then I will see and notice that I'm not just getting content served by Gary Vee from Gary Vee's handle. I'm getting content from other people reposting Gary Vee stuff, right? And what it's doing is it's identifying Gary Vee's personal appearance, what he says, and is transcribing really his content into text. And then it's matching that up with content that I've watched before. And then it understands and knows who Gary Vee is as a person. And now I'm just getting served Gary Vee content, regardless of if it's which TikTok account it is, which Facebook page it is, which YouTube channel it's coming from. Doesn't matter. It just knows that I like Gary Vee content. Even if it's from another person's podcast, it's Gary Vee content, right? And I think that's where we're going. I think this technology is going to understand at a very deep level who we like, who we don't, what kind of messages we interact with, which ones we don't. And it's going to be able to suggest, you know, probably ChatGPT probably have like auto suggested ad copy that'll pop up as possible solutions for your problem.
I agree with that. And, that even we could get into like the influencer space with social organic, like organic social. I think with the data that's going to be collected, you'll be able to access, will change the dynamic of marketing altogether just from OpenAI alone, not including any of the other platforms. And I think, that could be a whole other episode, which we may cover next week, is micro influencers starting to really expand and really, like, I think that's something I'm noticing right now with working with other agencies, is that organic social is starting to explode, and we're literally in a bubble because of AI, because of these LLMs. I think that this might, even micro influencers are going to get opportunity much more than they did even a year ago.
Yeah, yeah. And that's, I think that's a double-edged sword with the marketing agency model, the
It
business
is.
model, is that you always have to stay on top of trends. You always have to know what's going on. Something that maybe did work, doesn't work anymore, or maybe just works in a different way. And so if you're an agency owner or you're a leader in an agency and you can't keep up, and I don't blame you because it is difficult to keep up, you need to have somebody in your back pocket that you can leverage to deliver on these services, because clients will ask about them. They will. We already have, out of our 300 agency partners, we have so many of them asking us on a monthly basis since the beginning of this year, since beginning of 2025, on a monthly basis. What's your plan for AI SEO? What's your plan for AEO? What's your plan for GEO? What's your plan for ranking the LLMs? How are you getting in ChatGPT? Like we already, so many people have asked us. It's hot, right? And it may make or break you retaining a client or getting a new client, getting a new prospect, if you
But yeah,
don't have somebody in your back pocket for this.
we see that right now. Like, there's several RFPs we're working with our partners on right now for, obviously beginning of your projects that we're finalizing, and they're requiring, anything with AI, with Google, anything related to the LLMs, like SEO, like it's part of the packages they're put together. And to Zach's point, if you're an agency owner, one, being prepared for that. For us, we have 300 agencies chopping at the bit. Like, what are you guys doing to, reverse? If you're out there alone as an agency owner, even if you have a couple different agencies you work with, like, it's nice to have someone, like an Advirtis who is working with all these agencies, because we're being forced. I mean, technically, Zach, you and I are both being forced to continuously, pivot and innovate, our service offerings because of the demand.
Yeah.
And it helps you diversify as a business owner, So having access to people who are having to stay on top of these trends, it's a huge benefit for your agency or for your business. And we're not talking to just, agency owners in this case, we're talking about business owners as well. If you're a business owner listening to this podcast, I would encourage you to definitely hit subscribe, knowing that, what we're looking at is we're looking at trends that are coming down the pipe. We're working with hundreds, sometimes thousands of different businesses in any given month to just basically understand how this is going to affect them in the next, 6 months to 12 months, if not, 24 months out. So we're being forced to do that. And that's the big benefit working with that many agencies, is that it forces us down this path, but it is exhausting. I can't lie. It is exhausting.
It is. It's very tiresome. I mean, we are experts in Google Ads. Advertis is expert in Meta Ads. Advertis is an expert in SEO, and Advertis is an expert in websites. And those are, the three service lines that the company Advertis we built into, and it works great. But the problem is, that's such a large umbrella when you can spin up websites with AI, when you can spin up ad copy with ChatGPT, when, you can now rank organically in the LLMs, right? And it's changing all the time, and we have to keep up because service delivery is at the top of our mind, and we implement our strategies for execution into 300 agencies every day. Every day. That's what we're doing. And you're absolutely right. It's rough. So I guarantee you that when ChatGPT starts beta testing this ad network, Advertis is in on it. We're going to be giving you all the updates as much as we can share with what the cost per clicks are going to be, what the options are going to be, what kind of controls and levers you'll have, what kind of retargeting capabilities that you can have, what the ROI is looking like for those that we're testing this with. We're in on it. And we're already doing this organically with AEO, or ranking in the LLMs via SEO. So we're already there, but we're going to keep you updated on it. So please subscribe. We are happy to answer any questions you have in the comments and talk about it on our next podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week. Good show, buddy. I'm going to stop.